Alright, here is a dusty, dirty old Admiral dual speaker YH607. This is an AM/FM tube set from the mid-60s, I'd say around 65 or 66. I've got several radios around here that are very similar to this design. These are all Japanese made radios, and towards the end of the tube era. I've got several of these that the dial is faced this direction instead of horizontal. They're vertical, but anyway, I believe it's the same dual speaker design, not stereo, but you know, dual speakers, and they have the same same knobs on them and pretty much the same format looking. Here's one of the ones I'm talking about. It's pretty similar in design to this one. This one just runs horizontal and this dial runs vertical. And I've got a wooden model of this one here, and I've also got another one of these along with this one. But the wooden one I've already done a video on. It was a while back, a couple years back anyway, so that's what I'm talking about. Alright, so all plugged in and turned on. Got vacuum bulb illumination, but I don't hear anything. This set seems to be dead. No sound whatsoever. Turn the dial, nothing. AM, FM, it don't matter, it's dead. So it sounds to me like the audio amplifier circuit may not be working, but well, let's pull it apart and see what we're dealing with here. Alright, so I pulled the knobs off of it, and there's two screws, one here and one there. You can see down in there it's pretty dark, but and you pull those out and the chassis slides back here. The only thing you're going to have to worry about are your wires to your audio output transformer, because this mounted to the speaker. Alright, pulling the chassis out. We're kind of generous with the amount of wire here, so you can actually pull it out and work on it, which is nice. We got some charred looking capacitors under here, so that kind of throws up red flags a little bit. These are those Japanese capacitors and probably need to be replaced anyway, so not much of a big deal there. But we will hook up the signal tracer on this, since I'm not getting any audio out of the speakers and everything, and we'll go through the circuitry and see if we can pick up a signal. Alright, so I probed through the radio off camera and got my little signal tracer and went through the radio, and I wasn't getting anything through any of the radio. So I think what's going on here is we're getting current supplying the AC current supplying the tube filaments, but we're not getting any power to the set. And so the first thing I like to check whenever I see one of these right here, I need to check this, and I like to check and make sure that these aren't open, because these are those flexible resistors I found times past are real frequent to going out. So let's do a check of this and see what's happening here. Alright, we got something screwy going on here. I've got both of the leads across it, and it's open. It's showing it open, and I'm moving them around and I'm not getting anything. You can move these around and you're still on it, and I'm still not getting anything. But if I touch here and touch close to the capacitor, I get a reading. Well, I was getting a reading, but I was getting a reading of about 1.5 meg ohms, so I think I need to take this out of the circuit and see what's going on with this thing. Alright, so in trying to remove it, it looks like I ripped this part out of here anyway, so we're going to have to put one in anyway. Alright, so according to our schematic, this is a 47 ohm 2 watt fusible resistor. So I've already cut it out of the circuit there, but this is where it comes in from the plug and then goes to the terminal strip. Then on the other side of that, I think I called that a capacitor, but it looked like a small electrolytic, but it's actually a rectifier diode. So the rectifier tubes in this set. Alright, well, I tacked in this 5 watt resistor here, and it's you know, the original one is a 2 watt, and so it's heating up real hot. So we've got some short or something going on, and that's probably the reason why this was open. I don't know why I was even getting ohm readings off of it, but it had to be open, and I mean, because you know, as soon as I hooked this up, plugged it in, you know, it warmed up. This started getting hot, but I started getting sound through the speaker, so it's technically working now. I didn't have a chance to tune in any stations because this thing is starting to smoke on me, and yeah, I'm just don't want to leave it hooked up and let that burn up, because that's the only one I've got. And so I guess we need to, you know, figure out where the short's at now. Alright, so knowing how I know these Japanese capacitors are to short, let's check the cross-aligned cap over here, which is this 0.047 cap. And it looks like it's more like a resistor than anything. I'm getting 206 ohms across that cap. That should be open, and I believe this is definitely shorted here, so I'm gonna cut that out of the circuit and see what we get. Alright, so with the cap cut out of line, I'm getting about 140 volts there, and before I was getting about 100 volts. And so I believe that cap shorted. We're just going to leave it cut out and I'll replace it. But right now I'm still not getting any reception from this radio. It's powered up, but I'm still not getting any reception. So I'm going to go back in and check it. Check this with my signal tracer and see if I can get a signal now. Alright, so I'm back on this Admiral radio here. It's been a few days since I've been in here messing around. I've been doing some automotive stuff, and it's kind of kept me tied up. But anyway, on this, I've got it fired back up, and we have, since we replaced our resistor, now we have a power amplifier that's working. So we know the power amplifiers, or the audio output amplifier, is working, I should say. We know that's working. So, but we don't have any voltage over here. If I can do this one-handed, we don't have C7, 8, or 765. So we don't have anything. We've got negative voltage there. We should have, according to the schematic, we should have about 120 volts on there. We're not getting anything. So I believe we've got some sort of issue here going on with the converter, oscillator, and all that deal. Alright, so one thing I noticed when I'm doing some voltage checks here is we have this wire here coming off of the band switch that goes here, which gives power from this switch to the tube. And checking, we have -3 volts, and on pin 5 we have -3 volts, which is supposed to be 120 something volts. But when we go down here and probe this red wire here that's coming from over here in the power supply and going over to the switch here, we probe that pin, see if you can see it, that pin there, and we have 126 volts on that line. So I said, well, wonder what would happen if we just kind of took my probe and kind of jumped this two over.
Number 1 farm credit is an equal housing lender.
And our radio works. So it's just this is just a matter of voltage not getting to where it needs to go, and I have an idea. It could be the switch. I don't know if this is supposed to do this or not, but we're just not getting power to this tube where there's supposed to be 120 volts to that tube. It's just you're not getting any power, so it's not going to work without power. So I mean, you know, when we get -2, -3 volts, that's, you know, supposed to be B plus on that line, and we're not getting anything. So let's see what we can do. I'm gonna try to clean that switch and see if that's the problem. Alright, so cleaning the switch did absolutely nothing, and I have pretty much determined that this has got to be a band switch issue. If you jump it over like I was on AM, you get reception. When you go to FM, you would have had to move the switch, so it would have went to the next contact, which would have been this wire here. This is the B plus, where it goes into the switch with the red wire right there in the sort of towards the center there. When you're on AM, the B plus comes out of this red wire, which is a lot more faded than the other one, and goes to the tube where there's no voltage. When you're on FM, it's one click over or AFC, both of the pins are the same. It goes to this orange wire, which is right here, goes back to this pin, which is ironically right next to the B plus line.
97 here this afternoon. Clouds for tonight is our low.
Connect them and the radio works. That's on FM. On AM, the radio works. And that's the switch and power supply making noise on AM. But yep, we definitely got a band switch problem, and all the other contacts seem to be there. There's a contact there, and there's a contact on the opposite side, but I think there's supposed to also be a contact over here. It's either broken off or something, I don't know. I really don't know. But if you look at the switch, there's no connection with the way it is now to any of these pins, and those pins are there for a reason. There wouldn't be there if they wouldn't have them connected if they just hooked to nothing. So that was one thing that kind of threw me for a loop there. So looks like the whole issue is a band switch, and you know, it's just going to take a matter of getting a rotary switch or being able to replace the contacts inside of that thing to get it to work right. You know, I've got similar radios to this, but I really don't want to part those out for a band switch, so it's going to be kind of interesting. I don't know what I'm going to do to fix this, but that's definitely the problem. You can connect power to it, and radio works.
What, Duluth, Minnesota? I mean, he with the crowd.
He didn't practice so much. One.
actually seems to work pretty good. But when you're not getting voltage to where you need to have it, it doesn't work at all. Alright, so in conclusion, you know, basically we need a band switch. I did get down in there and shined a flashlight down in between the wafers of that switch, and very, you know, kind of far back in there where you wouldn't notice it unless you shine a light and you're looking directly at it. There is a rivet with the top broke off of it, and I suspect that was the rivet that gave way and the contact fell out for that switch, and you know, who knows where it's at now. So yeah, that contact pin being gone, you know, basically puts that switch out of commission, and unless it's wired on like it is right now, you know, I just got a jumper wire going between the two contact points. Until those are met, this radio won't work. And so I hate to, you know, leave it this way, you know, kind of unconcluded the video, but you know, unless I find a band switch for that, the radio's not going to get fixed. So anyway, just you know, good in this video is, you know, it shows you how to troubleshoot when you're using your voltage. When you're tracking using voltage, if you don't have voltage on a certain pin that's supposed to be there, then you got a problem. And you know, basically, I mean, this one was the power supply voltage for the 12BE6 tube wasn't there, and then also I'm sure the FMRF tube over there didn't have any B plus either, so you know, you're not going to get anything without that. So anyway, we'll leave it at that, and you know, if I run into a switch or something, we'll do a part 2 on it. I appreciate y'all watching. If you like the content, you know, give me a thumbs up, and you know, spread the word around, and consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Thanks for watching, guys.